late. I know. It's all my fault that
We're
we're late
late
this morning. But good morning, everyone. Yeah,
but we're
late
here.
because I almost was not going to even come
Oh,
into
wait a
work
minute.
today.
I'm
Oh,
trying
wait a
to
minute. Lizzie's
get
trying
us
to fix
centered
us
a little bit.
centered a little better. Maybe I'll just
There we go.
scoot closer to you.
No, that's better.
There.
We're all good.
Oh, now I'm trying to pull the table over towards me as well. Get up in my chair.
We're
here,
all
big
good.
We're all good.
You know what? We get a free pass before Shop Up that we can be late.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know why you had to remind me that it's only a week. I have so many bajillions of things to do before next week. But you know what? Miracles always happen, and somehow we always manage to be ready.
We do. We manage to be ready.
And you know why? Because my amazing staff comes in and helps
everyone
me.
pitches in some little way. And
no, a big way.
It
is a really
Let's
big
just
way.
double check our sound here. But I'm pretty sure we're going to be good, right?
I have sound.
I'm making all kinds of sounds. Let's see.
I always have great sounds. Great sounds.
Yeah, there we are. I think we've got sound.
So, oh my gosh. So Saturday was our second Saturday class. We only have 2 months
I know.
left.
I can't believe it.
I know. It's gone so fast, hasn't it?
It has gone really fast.
These 9 months have been much faster than when you're pregnant and going to get a new baby. And guess what? When this is done, I don't have to be up in the middle of the night with it all night long.
No.
Or carrying a cranky baby around. I can just put my quilt over in the closet and say, shh, go on.
Or better yet, display it and get to look at it, and it's just so quiet on the wall.
It'll be here. I said to Donna yesterday, I am so excited for this quilt. I really
it's
love
beautiful.
It's good. And I said, I can hardly wait to bring this home. And then I went, but
Fran gets to donate it to the store for the next who knows how long, and sometimes a long time. Is this your Halloween one?
No, that one belongs to Laurie. Mine's in Colorado.
Oh, that's even worse than being at the store.
I didn't even get to see it. No, Donna has that one because she fell in love with the quilts. She did not do that one.
Yeah, because that was a little bit before.
Mm-hmm. And so she put together some starter packs and bought patterns from Amy. So mine, I asked her though the other day if I ever get to have it back, and she's like, well, maybe.
But that's probably your Christmas one though, right? Up there?
That is my Christmas one.
And we are still selling patterns for those because people love them.
We just did again on Saturday. We sold a couple more patterns for that one on Saturday. So yeah, it's a really good one. So, but I think we should show them our blocks for this one. Yeah, let's show them because they're so cute.
They are so cute. Okay, let's see.
Oh,
can you see that?
Yes, that's a great lower. They're perfect. So this one is called our Starburst Lemoyne Star. And, the Lemoyne Star is our
store block.
And Miss Deb Tucker is such a brilliant woman. She's actually come out with a lot of technique sheets using the ruler to make different blocks.
Different versions of it.
Yeah. So this is using her lovely rapid fire Lemoyne Star ruler. And then you use the technique sheet and you're putting it together just a little bit differently. So that's the 12-inch block. What else you got for me over there?
I love using her ruler because she's done all the thinking for you about how you need to press and how you need to do all the things, and it just comes together so well. And there are no
Y seams. They didn't want me to cry.
No, I don't.
You don't have to do any Y seams, which I love that.
Okay, let's get our little.
This one is Miss Liz got to name these.
Oh, blocks. I did.
She sure did. These are our Freedom Star blocks, aka. What is it, Liz?
Ohio Star.
Yes. So it's just like a framed Ohio Star, and we think they turned out pretty cute.
They did.
So
they really did.
We do like that. So
those are so cute. And we gave some great tips and tricks in the class.
We did.
So not only are you getting a beautiful quilt, but you are learning. We are giving so much value.
It's a skill builder. It is definitely a skill builder. And I had the two sweetest ladies on Saturday, and the one said to me, I was not going to do this quilt, but my friend here, she talked me into it. She made me do this. And she said, but you know what? I love it. She said, I have learned so much. And she said, we're doing another one at another store. And she said, we're not happy with it. But we love this one. So I don't want to hear about another store that they're not happy with.
Yeah, we want them to be happy with everything that you do, but
We do.
We know you'll be happy with ours. We know you'll be happy with it. And so someone was here, I think on Saturday too. I don't know, the days all blur together. But I said the keywords for ours are mystery and skill builder. And I think people love both of those. People love that.
Well, the mystery scares them a little bit because when you don't know what you're going to get.
That's true.
But here's
we give hints.
But here's the fright of a mystery quilt. If you have to go and pick out your own fabrics and you don't know what this is going to look like in the end, I think that's
hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
Yes. I worked with a really cute girl years ago, and she took a mystery class, not a like this. And one of the fabrics that it called for a large amount of fabric. And so she thought, well, that's got to be the borders, right? No. And so she chose this big, beautiful print.
Probably for background or something.
She threw it in the garbage.
Oh.
I said, why didn't you at least just take it to the DI or give it away? She goes, it was but ugly. I'm not giving that thing to anybody. And so I think that's one part that really kind of frightens people if you say, come take a mystery. But they don't have to pick out the fabrics for this. We've done that for you. So, and where this is a patriotic one, how can you go wrong with red,
white, and blue? And we did give hints at the beginning. We've given hints all along. So people knew that this was patriotic coming into it. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like it's that big of a mystery, but And you know, coming from Village Dragons, we're gonna have some Lemoyne stars.
Always.
We're gonna have some different techniques, right? Mm-hmm. So there are things that you know.
Yes. And we're going to show you some specialty rulers that are good rulers that you will use over and over and over again in your quilting journey. So we're just showing you some easier ways maybe to make some of those. And our last one, Miss Liz. This is, and you know what? You can't see. Yeah, but you can. I'm going to put my hand
hard
down
to
here
see
because you can't see this little blue frame that's on the top and the bottom. So it's got a little frame that's down here. So that one we called it the railroad crossing.
I think this was really cute.
It was a fun one to do. So.
I haven't ever made a block like that.
So. Oh, you haven't?
Well, I don't think so.
Years ago, we did one with that block in it for our shop quilt. That's been a lot of years ago.
Time. Maybe before my time. I've been here for a long time.
She's just a baby.
I don't think we need to show that one. So.
And who's watching us? Oh, Miss Lynette. Good morning, sweet
Hi.
Lynette. And good morning to you, beautiful, lovely lady, as well.
Do you know what? Spring has arrived. And it is so beautiful. Well, yesterday was.
Not yesterday spring. It was raining, cats and dogs.
It was. It rained all day.
I think they got some snow up on the mountain.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
It sure
I'm sure they did. But so maybe the skiers were happy.
Oh, of course.
But
can you believe it's middle of April and they're still skiing?
It doesn't surprise me at all, but it's just so lovely to drive around and see all the trees in bloom.
Oh my gosh, my tulips are so pretty.
They're so gorgeous.
And my lily of the valley has popped up. It doesn't bloom until about May, but my little green stalks are popping up there.
It's a happy time.
It is a happy time. We're starting to see green instead of green.
Donna's here. Hi, Donna.
Oh, good morning, my sweet girl.
April showers bring May flowers. You are right. Mm-hmm. You are right. Especially this year. We've got all the water we need, I think, hopefully. Hopefully it's not going to cause problems now that it's going to get warm.
And if it'll melt off slowly like it did last year, we'll be in really great shape. So, so we're going to hope. But we have something with it educational today.
Yeah, we're going to teach you something. Well, we hope to teach you something today. If not, you'll just listen to us.
On again.
You know what? Sunday, I was talking to someone, and there's a new thing that we're doing at church, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to be so good," and I was like, "Well, if we're not good, we're going to have fun."
That's right, and we always have fun. We make each other laugh and chuckle. And so I have a couple of people that watch us that are not quilters, and they're like, sometimes we have to work during the day, so we don't always get to watch live.
Yes.
But we always make sure that we get to watch it because she said it just makes my day. Watching you two, you're just so fun. You always make me
have fun. I don't think I've ever finished one of these and just hated it.
No.
I'm always smiling. We're always giggling. We always find something to laugh about. Anyway,
it's true.
So we hope that you do too. But we do have something we'd like to teach you today.
We have
and we need to give credit to our Miss Deanna because this was her idea.
Was our sweet Deanna.
This is her idea.
I'll show your cute, beautiful face. Look at this beautiful girl. There she is, my Deanna.
She said this last week. She said you should talk about thread.
And we said, oh, that is a great idea.
That is a good idea.
We don't want to repeat what we did, although I might not remember what we did a year ago.
We've been doing this for well over a year now.
We have.
Yeah.
So, but we have some great information for you. And so I want to start off and just say this because here's a great thing. So pioneers had to pull flax from plants from the ground. Then they had to dry them, remove the seeds, separated the flax fibers from the hard stalks, and then they had to spin those fibers on a flax wheel to create thread.
I'm out.
I'm so glad I could go to a quilt store and just pick up a little spool of thread and go home and sew. If I had to do all of that stuff,
how would you do it?
Bless our,
yes.
Right? They've made the world so much better.
I know. They had to learn how to do it all and get all the things. And
do you know how long threads have been around? Now, I never thought about this before last night when I was doing homework. I never thought about because we've worn clothes.
Well, so as long as you would have to sew something together, right? Or attach something. I mean, I guess you could use leather kind of strapping, but that's not going to give you any.
Put it together. You still got to sew it.
Well, yeah.
So they actually used, in the caveman days, they actually used bone and fur and to make their needles and their threads.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But in 1730, they were making sewing thread from animal hides, pet animal hair. Oh, I asked Sebastian if I could borrow some last night. He told me no. And it's curly and it's short, so I wouldn't get very far with that one. No. And plant fibers. So in 1730, cotton thread was first spun in England.
1730. Wow.
That's a long time.
So we're almost 300 years?
Pretty darn close to having thread. And did you know that if you wanted to peel a yucca plant, you could actually use those?
Good to know.
Desperate and you're out in the desert.
You know what? Sometimes at midnight you're desperate, but there's no yucca plants around.
You can find one of those, but you could do that. So actually, in 1600 BC to 1000 BC, Babylonians they actually invented embroidery.
Oh, okay.
So they had threads that they were using clear back then. I thought that was actually very, very interesting too.
That is super interesting.
And I wrote down here that there's 2 types of sewing threads, but there's really way more.
Oh,
than that.
yeah.
I think that site that I got that from, no, I don't know.
Yeah, 2 main categories maybe.
Well, maybe. But, so I also have that sewing thread was developed in the first part of the 19th century. Patrick and James Clark. Do you recognize that name?
Yep, Clark for sure.
Now, how do I say this tactfully? I'm just going to say I don't use quilts and Clark.
Yeah, I don't either.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
And move on. But there's another really interesting, and that was, and in 1812, the first thread factory opened, and it was in Paisley, Scotland.
Oh.
Interesting, right? Okay, now, do you know what the strongest thread is?
Oh, silk?
No.
No, that's probably the weakest.
No, silk is really a very strong thread. Kevlar thread. Did you know that Kevlar threads?
Really?
That's what you make.
That would make sense, right?
That's what you make bulletproof
jackets. Yeah, exactly.
Out of, right? So it's got to be really.
I don't sew any bulletproof jackets.
I'm not sewing that either.
If you shoot one of my quilts, it's going right through.
And so are you. I'm just saying. But no, silk thread is a very strong thread.
Well, and such a natural fiber, right?
It is a natural fiber. So there are only 2 fibers that are natural, silk and cotton.
Okay.
But look, that one just kind of broke easier than I wanted it. I don't have Kevlar thread, but I do have some silk thread. Look at me pull on that.
Yeah, pretty good.
So that is a silk thread, and I'll show you in a minute how nice and thin silk thread.
And what do you use silk thread for?
Well, I used to use it always when I embroidered.
Okay.
If you are non-embroidered, applique. When you applique with a silk thread, that thread just melts
right in.
into your fabric. And no, you could use the same color of silk thread for your entire applique project, and you won't
wouldn't see it.
No,
That's super interesting.
It's
I don't think I've ever used silk, but I'm not a huge. I'm not an applicator, so I wouldn't know that. But
I'll loan you some sometime, and you can give it a try.
I can try it.
You could try it and see what you think. But
well,
yeah, silk,
if I take it, I'm not giving it back.
Okay.
You said you'll loan it to me. If I use it in my project, you can't have it back.
I might want it back though. When you finish your beautiful project, I might say I'm gonna repossess this because that's my thread.
That's my thread.
I could do that. Okay, so here's another interesting fact about thread. The lower the number, the thicker the thread.
And that always confuses me.
Right?
It's opposite what you think.
Between needle sizes and thread
I screw it up all the
get
time.
so confused. But like normally I like to piece with a 50 weight thread.
Yeah, in my sewing machine most of the time I'm using 50.
I like a 50 weight. So while we're talking about a 50 weight, I don't know if I can.
How can we do this?
Yeah.
If I hold the paper.
And we'll just hold these threads in front. And I don't
know if you can see
know
them.
that you're really going to be able to tell this. So we'll just talk about it because this one over here is not really even showing, and
we're trying.
Yeah, they're not really.
You're going to have to pull out the examples you've got in your own sewing room to see what we're talking about.
So these threads that we just tried to show you, they are all 50 weight threads. Okay, now sometimes a thread will say 50/2 or 50/3. Do you know what that is?
No clue.
2-ply, 3-ply.
Oh.
So these are all amazing threads to piece with. This is my very most favorite. It's the Aurifil thread. It is a 50 weight 2.
Okay.
Okay. Metler, which is also an amazing thread, is a 50 weight 3. And I'm not sure about Gutermann because I can't really see it anyplace on my spool. And I couldn't pull that up last night for some reason. But so these 3 50 weight threads.
Wonder if I can find it really quick.
Oh, that'd be lovely, Miss Lizzie. Thank you. So these 3 50 weight threads, sometimes, especially if you're piecing things with little tiny points or little parts in your block that you really want to get your seams to match well or your points to show up. Here's why I like Aurifil, because it is the thinnest of the 3. And I really feel like I can get a little better point with the Aurifil than I do with my others. Now, if you like the others, because as I said, these are all 3 amazing threads. We've got some other beautiful threads to show you. But these 3 are all great threads to do your machine piecing with. If you're using, say, Gutermann, which is the thickest of those 3, I would do, I hate this word, kind of a scant-ish. I hate to say scant.
Yeah,
I hate to say scant because
hard.
what is your scant? Is it the same as mine? But if you are sewing and you're not getting a good 1/4 inch, and you know darn good and well you've got your settings right on there, you know you should be getting a good 1/4 inch seam. It may be because your thread is just slightly thicker. So make a little tiny adjustment on your machine if you're using one of those.
I cannot find what the ply is.
I couldn't either. I did homework last night.
Google rarely fails me, but Google, in my quick trying to.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if anyone knows, comment.
Let us know if you have an idea.
If you know what the Gutermann thread is.
So, okay, while we're talking about great thread, sometimes you hear that a thread is wound. It's either stacked.
Oh.
It's either stacked or it is cross wound.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure. Okay.
I think they can see. I think they can see.
There. So that is stacked. See how it's just up in a straight up and down row. Okay, now let me see if this color will show up. Oh, yes. Okay, so can you see the difference?
It kind of makes X's. It crosses.
It crisscrosses around. So what they say is that with your cross wound thread, it's best if you do it horizontally on your sewing machine.
Really?
Yes, because if it's pulled off like this, it comes off a little bit smoother than, I don't have something to. Well, now that's not a real good, but can you see how it sort of makes it a little more?
Yeah, wobbly.
Yeah, it's not just pulling off smoothly. But And then if it's the stacked one, it works best if it's vertical.
Okay.
Because then that's going to pull it off. Oh, now I don't know where the end is in my thread. Well, it's on there. It's going to just pull it off just like this.
Okay, that makes sense.
But on my old Bernina machine, I do not have that option. And I sew a lot on my old 830 machine. I do just fine. And I have a cone.
I use cones.
I use a cone.
I just have two colors of cones. So if I need something special, I have to switch. But yeah, the cone. But I have a nice large thread stacker thing. I can keep a bunch of threads on top of my machine.
Nice.
So I do all of them coming up the top.
I just have a beautiful little stand that sets back behind my sewing machine. So, you know, if you're having trouble with your tension, which is where it's going to show up, if your machine is not pulling your thread off nice and smoothly, it's going to show up in your stitches, in your tension.
Or it's going to break.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, sometimes I have people that say, I can't use Aurifil thread on my machine. And I'm wondering now if that's why. I'm wondering if they've got it on a vertical post
versus horizontal. Or just their tension discs or just pulling on it differently.
Oh, and speaking of your tension discs and your thread, always, always, always have your pressure foot up when you go to thread it.
Oh, yes.
Because if it's down,
your tension discs are engaged.
Are closed, and then you'll really end up with a mess.
Well, and the same thing, if you're ever switching threads, you can cut your thread at the beginning and pull it down. Don't ever pull it back through your machine. Yeah. Which, that was, at the beginning I was like, oh, that's a lot of thread to waste. But it's not, really, and it's not. Way better. It's on your machine. Yeah, it's good machine ownership and good machine taking care of it. Yes, it is. Well, and hand me your little Aurifil thread, your orange one. Well, and for those of you who didn't know, and sometimes on your machine you'll have a picture of how they want you, like it wants to come off the front or it wants to come off the back. And if you can't do it, your little orange thing pops on the bottom and you can flip it. So some people didn't know that. As soon as I figured that out, I was like, wow, that's amazing. And the other nice thing about that I like is when you need to rewind it, if you need to travel with it, you can kind of tuck it up in there and then put that back on, and then it's not floating around and unraveling in your bag. So if you didn't know, the orange, I'm assuming all the Aurifil ones like that come off. But
I think they do. I'm pretty sure they do. I don't know if I can show it's invisible. Oh, you can see a little bit of a sheen on there. This is Hugo's Magic Tape.
Oh, and I don't have any of this.
Oh, well. So if you don't have that neat little part down there on the bottom, like some spools wouldn't have it.
Well, the smaller spools don't have it, for sure.
No. So but they do have a nifty little.
Oh yeah, they do. You're right.
They do. They have a nifty little part where you can wrap it around down there.
I don't know what to call that.
It's a thread holder. But you can just take this Hugo's Magic Tape, which is kind of just like a piece of vinyl.
Oh yeah.
And you put it around there, and you just push that right down on there, and then that keeps your threads nice and
perfect.
So in my little drawer that I have all my threads laid out in, I don't like all those loose threads floating around in there because it makes it real messy. But those are the threads that we like to piece with. But there are so many other threads.
Oh yes, there are.
Oh my gosh, so many other threads. So there's polyester thread.
Yes.
And polyester thread is the By Annie bags. Our friend Annie, she likes to use the polyester thread when she's making bags because polyester thread is stronger than cotton. And part of that is the way that the threads are processed. But a polyester thread will not break quite as easily as a cotton one.
Yes.
I do use cotton still on my Annie bags.
Yeah.
But polyester thread, that's probably the only place I would use a polyester thread.
So when I was doing a little bit of research about this, they were talking about polyester thread and how when you press it, it gets brittle.
You got to be careful.
And sometimes you won't know where it's brittle. And so a lady was talking how she had pieced her whole quilt with polyester thread and pressed it, which we have to press. And so she said as she was quilting it, certain seams were popping open and she didn't realize it and things were folding back. And anyway, so you do need to be careful with polyester thread because it is plastic, basically. So that's what this is. This is monopoly, which some people love, and I don't use this very often. But man, when you need a clearish thread, this is really helpful. But you have to be careful when you're using it. So Fran's not a fan.
I am not a fan. And again, be careful with this with heat.
Yes, just with heat.
And the other thing about this, now I will say, I have used some other that has been real.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Superior's brand
it's the best that's out there as far as I'm concerned. And it's not stiff. It's not thick. It is, if you're going to use an invisible thread, this one is a really nice one. So, but if you're using this in your machine, do not put it in your bobbin.
Yeah.
No, only in your top. Put whatever color thread down, and I would use a lighter thread in my bobbin. Like you could use, like the super bobs would be great. Any a little bit lighter thread down in your bobbin, because this monopoly is a lighter weight poly. But don't use this in your bobbin. Your machine will not like that.
So be careful with that. But it is an option if you need it. In fact, there's another thread that I actually have, but I've never used. But it is water soluble. And so, so they were saying, the lady who was talking about it was saying that when she does garments, sometimes she has to baste something as she's working on it. And rather than having to unpick all of that, which that's not unpicking because you screwed up, it's unpicking because it's a part in the process.
Right.
She just can spritz it with put it in the sink or spritz it with her water bottle and it comes out. So, but don't get that confused with any of your other thread.
Oh yeah, don't just sew with that and then think, why is my quilt coming apart later on? That'd be bad. So we've talked about our silk. We have lots and lots of other heavier weight threads. This thread that's here, this one is a 12 weight thread. I'm going to just hold it up there because I put it on my paper, but I don't know that you can really see. So, but see, that is quite a bit thicker. And then this little lovely thread here, let me find my number on this. This one is a 28 thread. There are just so many different weights of thread. This little guy over here, what does it say? It is a 40 weight. Now, a lot of times, long arm quilters
will use a 40.
Will use a 40 weight. Sometimes even a 30 weight if they want it to be a little bit thicker thread. Normally, I like a 40 weight when I am doing
in
my long arm machine. Then there's, I don't know if I even dare to show this, quilting thread.
We can show this one. This is the one we have in the store.
Well, I know, but the problem is, this is, okay, but I have some good news about this as well. Okay, machine hand quilting. The favorite thread that I am not a machine. I mean, I am not a hand quilter. I have to do mine on the machine.
Yeah.
But hand quilter people love this brand. It's a YLI. Now, I don't know what's happened to YLI in the last few years, but it is hard to get. But here's the good news. I have been told that Superior Thread Company has bought YLI. And so the word on the street is we should be able to get that one again. So that's another really good thing about that.
Well, the nice thing about Aurifil is they color code their spools. Yeah. And so if it's orange, it's going to be 50 weight. If it's different colors, red is
12. If it's green, it was that
40.
If it's gray, what is gray?
The 28.
Oh, gray was the 28. Now where's mine?
So they have a few wood ones, and the wood ones
80.
must be special because 80s they do
thin.
They do 80 on wood. They also do some more like floss on wood.
Yes.
They do a couple different things on wood. So don't always think of wood. But I use 80 weight. I do a lot of tiny paper, not a lot, but I do tiny paper piecing. And the 80 is really good for that.
You know what I use 80 for?
What?
My applique.
Oh, yeah.
I love the Aurifil 80 weight for my applique work. It's as close to silk. And the thing about silk is I feel like you got to be kind of careful with heat on silk.
On silk too.
Also, yes. But this is 100% cotton, so I don't have to be
Well, and the thing with heat is it's not just pressing. It's drying.
It's drying.
So it's not like, my quilt's done, I'm good to go. It's, you got to make sure that the heat. So that is the nice thing about cotton.
Look at this pretty one. Variegated threads.
Yes, those are really fun.
So sometimes when I'm doing like blanket stitching around something on my machine, I like to put this on there, especially baby kinds of things, because then it's just really
fun
cute.
colors and stuff.
Fun colors.
So there's all sorts of things with thread, and
we didn't talk about wool thread.
Oh yeah,
we didn't talk about wool thread. Now some people use this in their sewing machine when they're doing blanket stitching on their wool. I haven't tried it on my sewing machine. I have tried it on just regular blanket stitching. Now the one thing about this is I try to He-Man it. I break it. So be gentle, because the wool thread, will break. It will break. So be kind of careful when you're using that.
Well, and someone mentioned a long time ago, they were saying how they used to use polyester when they were doing like their English paper piecing. And because it kind of is a plastic thread, it was actually cutting their finger as they were doing their English paper piecing. So notice things like that. I mean, if you're having to touch it a lot, and some people are allergic to wool, if you're having to stitch with wool, you may not want to use that. So anyway, but I find that was very interesting. She said it was like all these micro little cuts on your finger.
That makes sense, because it really is. It's a fine thread, and it's
strong.
But
so you have to be careful that it's not stronger than what you're putting it with. And sometimes in historic quilts, you'll look at it and the fabric's okay, but the thread has disintegrated. And so that's one thing to know.
It's because that animal fibers.
No kidding.
It's that pioneers that have been up there with the
flax.
Maybe they didn't pound it hard enough on the rocks before or maybe they didn't get all the seeds out. Who knows?
But you do have to be careful, because thread does age. And so, if you've got grandma's sewing kit.
But I have some great.
Tell me.
Okay, so in long arm quilting, we learned this years ago, because you can have those great big cones, and you're not using that up quite as quickly as we are going to be a swoop, right? Okay, so if your thread starts to dry out, you can spritz it with a little bit of water. And the other thing you can do, if you have cones and you're not using them very often, put them in a baggie, seal them up, and put them in your freezer.
Oh,
I'm a genius.
That is interesting. And I've heard too, to keep them out of sunlight.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you've got a drawer, or if not a bin or something, so that you keep them out of sunlight, because the UV rays will break it down.
So I kind of went down a rabbit hole a little bit last night with my homework, because I did homework. They were talking about some different ways of storing threads.
Oh, okay.
And some of them had boxes that they were like shoebox type things that they were storing them in. Some people were putting them in drawers. Some people had them on their racks. Those lovely thread racks that you can buy. And that was the statement that came up over and over and over again, was keep it out of sunlight.
What about the cookie tins?
Well, why not? If you've got one of Grandma's cookie tins with those beautiful old silk threads, and I should have brought some of my antique threads. Because I do have some really.
Can you tell a difference though if you go to use them? Do they break?
They probably would, because they're like hundreds of years old. So,
but just realize that,
don't just look at them. Just open up your granny tin and look at them in there, and marvel at how beautiful they are. And when we were talking a minute ago about Miss Liz was saying she only has a couple of colors of threads that she sews with. You do not need to try to in fact, you'll make yourself crazy. Like if I were trying to match my thread color for the quilt that's behind me, what color would I use?
Oh, I don't know.
That'd be hard.
I would, now what I do use is like, on a quilt like this, I would use like a gold.
You would use a gold, and I would use a taupe.
Okay.
I would use a darker taupe. But you don't have, like trying to go from a black to a cream to a red. How would you do that?
Yeah. No, if it's inside the quilt, I don't worry about it at all, really.
And shorten your stitch length a little bit, so that if you're concerned about your thread color showing on there, normally at home, I sew with an Aurifil 2600, which is a light grayish color. That's my very favorite to do all my piecing with. So I don't change out threads. Now, if I'm top stitching, then I will change out my thread to match my color.
So usually when I'm doing my binding, that's when I'm looking for different colors of thread. And you know what I did years ago, and I haven't done this for a while, but I joined a Thread of the Month club.
Oh!
And I think they sent me like 4 or 5 spools every month. And I didn't get to pick, but I just collected them all, and that gave me a really nice variety. And they were small thread. They were the smaller spools, but still, you'd be so surprised. I finished my quilt and I'm like, there's nothing in this box that matches. But so then you come in here and you have to find, but you get a good collection.
Here's an interesting thing also about threads. A lot of times people will say, well, okay, this isn't the exact color. Do I go lighter or do I go darker? Which do you do? The quiz. Let's see.
I don't know. I think I go lighter.
Nope.
Nope.
I mean, you could. But if you go lighter, it's going to show up more.
Oh, okay.
If you go just a little darker, it will blend into it a little bit better. So darker is better. If you can't find exactly the shade, go a little darker.
Well, and it was interesting I'll try and find a picture and post it, but they had done a sample, and I think it was on binding, and they had used white, and then they had used like a gray or a taupe, and you could still definitely see the gray or the taupe, but nothing like the white. The white like glows, you know. It was so interesting. So, but the reason I said gold is because that's the color of cone I have. So I have a cone of white, or well, it's like a cream, and then a cone of gold. So, and you know what I do? Because I'm a nerd. I wrote on the inside of my cone the date I started using it, because I'm just super curious to see how long it's going to take me.
Because those cones are such an amazing deal. They're like, I don't know, $50 to $60 for a cone.
So they're an investment.
And I should have looked to see how many yards are on those. A lot. I mean,
a lot. I've been sewing on it for years.
Yeah, I sew a lot, and one of those cones will last me a very long time.
Yeah.
And it is a much better deal. But while we're talking about good deals,
let's talk about deals.
Okay, let's talk about a deal. So a lot of times people will come in and they'll go, "Oh, Orifil's your favorite," but that's like $14.99.
It's more expensive. It's more expensive.
It is more expensive for the spool.
Yes.
Okay. Metler is, I can't remember, $8.49, $8.99, somewhere around in there. So they're like, well, this is a better deal, right? Again, wrong. Wrong. Okay. This spool of Metler has 547 yards on it, right? $8.49, $8.99. Orifil has 1,300 meters. Do you know how many 1,300 meters are? Let me tell you. It's 1421.697 yards. So this is almost three times as much thread. So if I'm to buy 3 of these, let's say it's $9, if that's $27. This is $14.99. Which is your better deal?
Right.
And because it's a little bit thinner, I can get a lot
more.
You
get more on your bobbin. That is huge for me.
I don't have to change my crazy bobbin.
Okay, so who is this? Lynette commented. She said she stores them in nail polish racks away from the sunlight, and she was told once to spray her spools of thread that dry out with clear silicone spray.
Oh.
I got mine from Home Depot. Some threads were manufactured in more humid areas, and that's true.
This is true.
And we're in a dry climate in Utah, so different people, like I know we have ladies that join us from Florida, they probably have different situations with their thread. But I've never heard the clear,
I haven't either. I've heard spritz it with a little bit of water, but I've never, well, that's interesting. I'll have to give that a try if my threads start to ever
back to the price thing, so if I was buying a super special color for a project, I might buy this because I don't need an entire thread of it. Right. But if I'm buying, I just have one binding of a quilt or something, I might go ahead and save the money there.
Right.
But if I'm using my piecing thread, I'll buy this because it is a better deal. And if you can buy, we don't have a ton of cones here, but we have some
special. I will special order them. I've done that for lots of our customers.
Yeah. And so if you find you all love to piece with a single color all the time, or like me, I have kind of two. One I use for more my bright quilts, one I use for more my dark and dirty quilts, and it just is a better deal. And
I also have a kind of a taupey color that I have at my house too on a cone, so it is a really good deal to do that.
And I started a jar, a really cute jar with my empty spool threads because I think I want to be excited to finish them.
Do you know what I have though in my gamble room? I have a quart canning jar. When I clip threads, I put my threads in there. It's the cutest jar. It's all these different colors of thread.
That would be cool.
I mean, it's totally useless.
It's fun. Yeah, no, I just keep my spools.
No, I keep thread. I don't get rid of anything. You guys.
Did we talk about all the things? Well, there's this. Talk about what this is.
Okay, so what this is these are super bobs. Again, this is a superior product. This is masterpiece thread, which is really a nice cotton, and it's a thinner. So it's the 50 weight 2-ply. So there's
Yeah.
that 2-ply again. So it's a little thinner thread like our Aurifil. And look at the beautiful colors. I have this at my house. This is my applique go-to. I have all kinds of beautiful bobbins. So if I'm in my little to-go applique bag, I will wind bobbins because they take up a whole lot less room in my bag than, say, one.
Well, and you can keep them all contained in a container, something like this. There's several different options of a container, but
I have that red bobbin boat.
Yeah, me too.
Big,
me too.
Because it holds more than just this, and then I can put all kinds of threads in there. But that's a really good way to, to have, because applique thread, you don't use a whole lot of applique thread. So to buy a whole spool of that and then have to find a place to store all that in your applique bag. So this is a great way to get a lot of different colors in there.
And we do have some spools like this that we sell just by the spool. So if you just want to come in, and they're cheap. So if you just need a specific color or you want to come get a nice generic color to go with a lot of things, we sell that as well.
And some of those are cotton and some of them are poly. I don't. Some of them.
We just got a little basket here with all sorts of things.
All kinds of things.
And as always, if there's something specific you're looking for, Fran can get most things. So if there's a specific color, if there's a specific type, if there's a size, you want this in a big thing, then.
Okay, and I'm going to talk about another thing as well. So we hear about mercerized thread. So most of your good, like your Orifit, most of all of those are mercerized thread. That is a process that they go through to make the threads. So when they do that, they're treated with a caustic solution, usually sodium hydroxide. And then it's under tension. So what that does is it causes the fibers to swell and absorb the dyes better. And the other thing it does, it increases the luster. So if it's a mercerized thread, it's going to have just a little bit of a sheen on it, little sheen, little vibrant look. And that process was discovered by John Mercer, patented in 1850. That's a long time ago. And the other thing about threads, long staples. Like some threads are, cheaper threads are made from shorter staples because it's kind of the leftover stuff, So your better threads are made with longer staples, which cuts down on lint. And you can actually you can take some cheaper spools of thread, run your fingers along it, and you will feel little bumps. That's all of those short threads.
Little connections put together. That's interesting. And
one other thing, I think this is probably the last thing that I have on there. Oh no, I have two things left for you. A good cotton thread will put less lint in your machine. Now, cotton thread is going to put a little more lint than a poly thread.
Okay.
But just make sure you're keeping your machine cleaned out nicely, and a better thread will produce a lot less lint. Your machine will like you a lot better for that.
Yeah.
The last thing to talk about threads is when you're using different weight threads in your machine, make sure you are using the appropriate size needle.
That will make a difference.
One of these big old chunky threads, and I'm trying to thread my normal 70, 80 needle that I'm piecing with.
It's not going to work.
No, and it's going to break. It's going to break the needle. It's going to break the thread.
It'll fray your thread probably right at your needle.
So make sure you're using the appropriate size needle with your threads too. So I think
there's so much we could talk about with thread. I feel like we could keep going for a little bit longer. So I hope you learned something.
Yes. It was educational day today. I did homework last night for us. Stan came upstairs. He said, "What are you doing there, Fran?" And I said, "I'm doing homework."
She's doing her research paper.
I'm studying for my thesis here. Now, go on, leave me alone. But so we hope you did learn something about threads, because threads are so fascinating. There's so many different types of threads out there, and so much you can do with all of these threads. So We hope that you did learn something. And we've blabbered for a long time this morning.
Well, we started a little bit late, but we did. We blabbered for a minute because we could keep going. But we do need to remind you about Shop Pop.
Do we have to? I'm having nightmares.
Yes, we have to because we're going to
so worried about not being ready.
We're going to go through all the work and we want you to come. So it's going to be so much fun.
You know, though, yesterday I worked again on Liz with that on Lynn, Miss Lizzie, on the coconut bra. And again, he said, do you want me to quit? And I said, no. And he says, okay, then I have 3 Hawaiian shirts. I'll consider wearing those.
That's a good idea.
Said, okay, yes, please.
That's a good idea. So the theme for the whole Shop Hop is bucket list. And all sorts of people are doing different ideas on that. But ours is just a trip to Hawaii. So we're going to have so much fun.
So much fun. It is
and
going to be way fun.
It starts next Friday. Can you believe that? The 26th. So anyway.
Great prizes. So make sure that as you're going to the different stores that you sign up at each and every store for their prizes, because every store has a gift certificate for $250 to their store. Every store has a fat quarter stack of 25 fat quarters.
That's a nice stack of fabric.
That's a really nice stack of fabric. And then a gift basket worth $100 value. So make sure you sign up at every single store for that. And then if you go from Logan, from my girlfriend, to Springville, to Cornwagon, and you pick a ticket up at each one, you pick it up at one, drop it off at the other one, you'll be entered into another contest for another $250 worth of gift certificates to use at any or all, whichever stores you want to use on that one. So that's another really good
and you don't have to start in Logan. You can start at Cornwagon. Whichever one you go to first, pick up the thing and then drop it at whichever one you go to last. Right. So make sure to get that if you do hit from north to south, which a lot of people do.
Yes, they do. And the hours are 10 to 6, Monday through Saturday. We are not open on Sunday because everybody needs to have a little bit of a break. But even if you can't attend all the stores, please come to the ones that are close by you. Make a fun outing of it. Come here because we're always fun.
We are always fun.
Hula dance. I gotta watch some videos. We're gonna have fun.
We're gonna have fun.
Have so much fun.
So next week will be a normal Village Vibes, but the next week during Shop Hop, we're going to show you all around our store. So even if you're far away, we know we've got ladies from Florida. We know we've got a gentleman in Denver who you never know where he is.
You don't. He just travels all over.
We've got people.
He was in Hawaii, actually.
Yeah, he was. So anyway, we know that not all of you are local, so we will do a little virtual tour for you. And so anyway, but we hope you can come join us. Everyone gets a free pattern. You don't have to win that. Every store you go to, you get a free pattern.
And we can't show you the quilt yet, but
it's beautiful.
It's good.
It's good.
I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. Yep, free pattern from every store that you walk into.
Yeah.
No passports this year. We're not doing passports again. We haven't done that since
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah.
We haven't done it since then. So it's just a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's a huge party. So we hope you can all come and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And enjoy, at least us, because we are enjoying it.
Yeah. If you come here and just enter into our drawing, that'll be good enough. So.
And we do have some ladies that do just do that. We have some of our customers, especially from right here in town, they're like, we're not going to any more of those. We have one lady that comes down from Eden and she's like, I'm not doing that. It's too busy. It's too crazy. But I'm coming to your store. I got to see what you guys are doing. So we love it.
It's going to be fun. We're going to have a blast.
Yeah. And we encourage you to go to as many as you possibly can because all of these shop owners and their staff, they've all worked really, really hard to put this party on for everyone. So do go and support all of your shops that you can possibly make it to.
Yeah. And that's one thing I found in visiting different stores is I feel like every store has their own flavor.
They do. They really do.
You just kind of find stores that, maybe it's something that you jive with, maybe it's not, but it's fun just to see. It's fun to see. And one of the things I love to do, especially during Shop Hop, is seeing the same quilt in different colors and fabrics because the store will pick their own stuff sometimes. Sometimes we get a boxed kit that everyone has, but I love that. So keep your eye out for something like that too. So it's fun.
It'll be way
and don't forget to bring your pennies. Save your money and buy something fun.
You can get something with pennies anymore? She's lying. Don't pennies. You can't even buy penny candy anymore. You probably don't even know what penny candy is, but you can't even buy penny candy anymore. So no,
you can't.
No.
So have some fun.
Yes. have fun with that, and we will see you again
Next
Tuesday.
week.
Remember the 5-10 rule again. This morning I actually got to do some sewing in my sewing room before I came up.
And I got to sew yesterday, so it was a good day.
Yeah, it was a great day. So do something kind for yourself. Be nice to each other, and we'll see you again next Tuesday.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Maybe.